Do you guys hear it? Yeah, the birds chirping. I always try and capture that morning essence right here on the show, sometimes an occasional semi-truck. But welcome everybody to Coffee with Conti. And right here on the channel, you hear me always talk about Corvette. Sometimes you hear from the manufacturer. Today on the show, you're going to hear from an actual customer after he's taken delivery of the new C8 mid-engine Corvette. Now today we talk with Russ in California, who is a fun and a cool dude, and even the guy that you may have seen on your late night news being chased by a helicopter. Russ, you got to be careful out there. He even told me he was at the hearing, and he goes, man, I wonder if I should ask if I could get a copy of the footage. Now, because Russ has a C7 and now his new C8, and he drives the mid-engine Corvette more than just on the street, I think that you'll learn from today's conversation, and I know that you'll enjoy it. Here's Russ from California on Coffee with Conti. Hey, Russ, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, dude.
Yeah, man, it's always good to hear from you, Rick.
Hey, it's great to hear from you, and I know the intention when you got your 2020 Corvette was to come here and get it and drive home, but you weren't able to come and get this baby because you had another baby that was on the way.
I know, man. You know, it was like all the forces aligned, you know, with the strike pushing the car back. And then, you know, we were hoping to come in and check everything out and get out there. My son and I were actually going to do the road trip. Yeah. And then my baby girl was born early, and so we were grateful. But you made it happen, buddy. The car literally showed up 2 days after the baby was born at the hospital, nonetheless. So wow. I got to pick it up and hang out there. So I loved it. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Dude, I appreciate all your support, and I love the stuff that you do, and you are a true enthusiast. You and I hooked up on the first go-around and the very first launch of C7. You got one of the earliest cars. So that's my big question for the guys we're talking to today. Number one, what you're thinking of the C8 car, but you had C7, and you're a guy that I really wanted to talk to because you do some performance driving. So you did a lot of cool stuff with Camaro, your C7 Corvette. How is it different going to C8? What do you think about this new car, man?
Yeah, so to preface it, you know, I have a 2015 Z28 Camaro, and that one is, I actually competitively race it in the NASA Super Touring Series, and have for the last couple of years. And I've been racing for probably 12 years now, 13 years. And, you know, that car is incredible. I love that thing. It's gutted, caged, it's like a legit race car. And I love it. The C7, when I got that, originally, I actually bought the C7 before I got the Camaro, and I got that coming off of a Mitsubishi Evo 10, and I actually got the Corvette, intended it to be my next race car, and the car was so nice because you sold me on all the upgraded options, man. I couldn't just rip that thing apart, and so I ended up turning the C7 into just a monster street rod, and so that thing's supercharged, cam, straight piped, and it's a fun ride. And I've taken that out to the track a handful of times. The problem is, though, is once we supercharged it, the thing gets heat soaked, and it's frustrating. After about maybe a lap and a half, 2 laps, it's just done. It's done, you know, and it's really frustrating for me because I'm like, I can't freaking be driving this thing right now, and I have to go slow. I've done some ride-alongs, and the people have just got to grin from side to side, and I'm just over here pouting because I'm like, gosh, I could go so much faster right here. So to give context now for the C8, you know, I bought this car because they did such an awesome job, the mid-engine, the whole thing, and it's beautiful. And, you know, I right now, my plan was just to have finally like a legit just street car that I'm not going to get hassled by the police and everything else. And so the C8, though, is taking it to the track. It is an incredible car. I cannot believe how well that they did with this vehicle. And coming from my perspective, from like the performance side, it's literally is like nothing I've ever driven before.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, and I've had a short time on the track, and I'm certainly not at the level that you're at, because I've seen some of your PDR footage, and I feel so different sitting so forward in the car. I mean, how does that affect knowing that you got 60% of the weight in the back? I mean, have you changed your driving style to handle the car?
Yeah, so actually yesterday was the first time that I got the car just with all the coronavirus crap. It was the first track event that was actually here open and running that I was able to attend here in California. And so Willow Springs is a really high-speed course. And, getting out, it actually was a little bit unique getting familiar with the weight of the motor back there and just the stability of the things. And so it took a minute to kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm going to have to get used to is the whole drive-by-wire system. The input to me, it's not quite the same. Driving like the race car, the Z28, it's all so visceral. The C8, it's like literally being in a video game. And the way that it delivers the power, the smoothness of the transmission, and I've never had a quote-unquote automatic car, and I kind of just left it in the mode because it was obviously faster than I could shift.
Yeah.
And I'm coming into corners, and it's crazy because the point of reference between shifting the gears, the sound, obviously with the RPM range of the race car, like the speed, all that just evaporated, and it's just I'm going so fast coming into corners, and the reference point is a lot more difficult, quite frankly, because it's just so smooth.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yep. And you're talking about the Willow Springs Run, and
yes.
I loved it. Hey, dude, you gotta brag what you did on the outside of that Lambo, man. Tell them.
Before I brag too much, I mean this wasn't a race group, and this was like their advanced group of just kind of a fun track day. So I don't want to put too much clout. I'm sure if there was a really good driver in the Lambo, that I don't know, it would have been a little bit more competition, but it felt good nonetheless, man. A brand new red Lamborghini Huracan, brand new red C8 Corvette, going toe to toe. Again, a high speed course, and I mean, I would have gotten the guy a lot earlier, quite frankly, but I kind of was just assessing his capability, and on the front straight I actually hit the brakes because I was like, dude, I could have gotten into this guy. And as I was approaching him, I'm like, this is like a $300,000 car, so I'm just gonna chill for a second. I'm not racing, so there's nothing to win here. So I kind of sat back for a second, and then we got into turn one actually. I still was like, oh, wait a second. And then turn two, he just was so much more off pace than I was, and I said, you know what, screw it, this will be fun. So I took him on the outside at turn 2 of Willow Springs, which is a little hairy because it's on the outside. There's a lot of debris and stuff, but it felt so good.
Oh, I know. I could tell you were pushing it. I saw the traction control light come on, and I'm like, waiting to see if the Lambo's going to come into the right side of the screen. I'm like, nope, Russ is holding it, and he's keep hitting the gas. He's going for it.
I'm sending it, man. It's funny because I was actually the very first session of the day and very first session ever running the Corvette. I got there like 5 minutes before the event started. I threw everything out of the car, hopped in, and just went. And I put it in track mode. I didn't have time to fumble with all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
And so, some of that stuff was coming on. It did a really good job, though. I mean, it really did in the track mode. The rest of the sessions, I ran the full off with like the track settings, all the stability control stuff off. Yeah. And it felt I was able to actually be even quicker, with the vehicle. So
that's cool. Now I know you put a set of wheels on there. Have you done anything else to the car, or just everything stock?
Yeah. So we partnered with HRE wheels, and we did the P101 SCs, which is nice because they're about 20 pounds. They're really sharp looking wheels. The fitment's a little bit better. It's a nice satin bronze on the red, which I think looks really sharp. Mm-hmm. And then we kept the factory tires still, so we just threw those on. So that was the other thing, man, with a set of like legit tires out there. I mean, gosh, this thing would be unstoppable. And then better brakes as well, for pads at least, but. And then we're working with MagnaFlow, and we did their it's right now it's a prototype exhaust still. It's not officially available. Okay. But it sounds clean through the whole RPM range. And then we're going to be doing some stuff with APR performance for some carbon fiber, a little bit more aero. That was definitely the thing that I felt. My other vehicles have a lot more aggressive aero, and turn 8 and 9 of Willow Springs is a really high speed. You can see from the videos, some of the stuff I've got on mine, you're coming into this turn like 130, and it's just a really long sweeping turn, and it's unsettled, and so not having much aero, even with like the Z51 like I have, minimal aero, having a little bit more aero would, I think, be a big difference on the vehicle as well. So I can only imagine for a Z06 eventually, as that comes out with a stronger aggressive wing, that's going to be an insane car.
Oh, no doubt about it. And last quick question, and I love sharing all this stuff with the viewers, man. Sitting in the C7, sitting in the C8 car, any notable difference, likes, dislikes?
So I'm 6'3", on my way to becoming a bodybuilder, is my hopes and aspirations. But, I'm a big dude, and the C8, the one kind of small complaint that I have, it fits very well. And again, for me being a big dude, it was funny, when I took some pictures of the HRE, and the guys, I had a picture, it was like my profile picture, and I put it on one of the C8 pages, and one of the first guys put up there, he's like, "Whoa, dude, I want to have you in my next bar fight." I was like, "All right, cool, man." But like the C8 fits well, man. I'm very surprised. You're the way that you sit in the car. It's the kind of the cockpit feel. You're kind of enveloped by the vehicle. I love it. I mean, it's a good fitment. For me being a bigger guy, if I could get probably like an inch of headroom, being that the seat would come down slightly more.
Yeah.
And then, it's funny, I know in some of their marketing material for the C8, they're bragging about the steering wheel not interfering with the interface of the dash, which I think is a great idea because, it's important. However, not at the expense of space. The steering wheel literally caps at the top, so there's no way to physically move it higher. So for me, where especially in a track, I mean, you're not really looking at the dash, especially with the heads-up display. There's very few things of information you need to look at. I'm not staring at my dashboard. So having the ability to raise the steering wheel would have been a little bit nicer, but I'm left foot braking mostly, so there's not a lot of transition, obviously, with the clutch and foot movement. But just a little. Just those two things would be my only thing that would be nice.
Yeah, I did notice that when I program the cars before we ship them out, that the steering column does not go up any higher. It's funny that you mentioned that. I'm like, that's as far as it goes. Okay, and then
I think it's literally because they don't want you to block the dash, and that to me is like dumb. Like I just think it's a silly thing, but whatever. But compared to the C7, so the C8 to C7, I mean, I fit the C7 very well also, but I don't know. I mean, they're both fine. I mean, it's not a problem at all.
That's great, man. And I know the seats that you got in, people are probably wondering that are watching right now. You're in the GT2 seats. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll add too, at the track, the C7 seats, which at the time I got mine, they didn't have the competition seats available, I think.
Right.
Those were delayed or something. So the C7 seats to the C8 GT2 seats, huge difference. In my C7, I'm literally using my elbow to stabilize myself and doing this. I don't have a harness and any of that stuff. But on the C8, I was just in the car, man. It does a very good job of holding in those seats. So I can only imagine with their GT3 or the competition seat for the C8, it's got to be spectacular.
Yeah, I think the GT2 seat kind of emulates a little bit of the C7 competition seat, but still gives you best of both worlds. Good stuff for the track, which you just confirmed, and also good for just cruising, which I see you doing as well. Absolutely, that's the best of all worlds. I think that, and especially you being a bigger dude, I think that seat works better for you. I don't think that you would like the comp seat. I really don't.
I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it. But no, it was awesome, man. And we did the track alignment, a shop out here, WR Technica, their shop out here in Southern California. They did the full track setup. I'll share one more thing. Maybe you can add this as a second thing, but for the brakes, you'd think that bleeding of brakes is the most fundamental, simple thing to do for race prep, right? We were doing a flush and put in race fluid. So we do the flush, do a normal flush like we would on any car, and we go to check the brakes, and the front brake has zero pressure. There's nothing. The wheel's just spinning, totally spinning free. And we're like, what the heck, dude? Is there air in the lines? We go back and check them. There's no air in the lines. Hit the brakes, nothing. We're looking around. I kid you not. It took us about an hour and a half. I finally went back to the sheet that they have, the track prep sheet from GM, and you'll have to look at it, show it on your show. In the finest print possible, there's this little small disclaimer that says, disconnect your negative terminal prior to doing your brake flush. And we totally overlooked it, and didn't see it. And then we go back, we're like, are you freaking kidding me? So we had to disconnect the battery, do all this stuff, but it took an extra hour and a half to research this and find out. And I couldn't believe it. But then in the normal print, they've got, make sure you use, new brake fluid that's not dirty or old. I'm like, thanks. I'll keep that in consideration.
That's a great point though, because there's going to be more people. There's a younger demographic buying this car that will start venturing to the track, and the track prep is crucial. So I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Yeah, and we did the whole alignment, and then the rear, we lowered the car to some of the specs that they recommend, and the rear, we actually had to remove the whole assembly to be able to do that. The access to it is pretty limited. Yeah. And the other gripe that I have is the front pads have this supposedly very unique tool that's not readily available as the bolt that holds the front pads in. So if you're trying to do a hot swap of pads at the track, if you don't have that tool, you're literally screwed.
Oh, wow.
And you can't even go to Pep Boys to get it. So maybe your guys there in the service, I'm curious. I got to look into it more, but we were trying to put on, a more aggressive track pad, and we got there, we're like, what the heck? This tool is like a special GM tool to be able to access it. And then the brake pad also is a unique shape. It's weird. It's like a 2-layer piece. But yeah, so those are a couple of things on the technical side as guys start to get out to the track.
Yeah.
So.
Real good point. And one of our upcoming episodes, I'm going to be talking to Steven at LMR down in Houston. And
nice.
I'm sure he'll have the same sentiment, because he's done pretty much tear the car apart, and he's put exhaust and turbos and all kinds of stuff on many
That's
C8s
awesome.
down there. Yeah, he's going crazy, just like you.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I swear, I got this car, and I was like, okay, this is going to be like the date night with the wife car, no hassles with a cop's car, and dude, getting it out on the track, I'm like, F that. Twin turbo, freaking, let's put full suspension on this, gut it, cage it. It's because it's a dream, man. The way that it delivers power is unreal. The dual clutch transmission, it's crazy. And then driving on the street, I'm surprised I have not been arrested yet. I feel like a felon.
But don't jinx yourself.
Well, yeah, and I actually have a history with helicopter pursuits and police barricades. So
no.
we'll not go into too much detail here on this live segment. But.
You are nuts. I love it. Hey, dude, just be careful and definitely keep in touch with us. All right.
All right. Sounds good, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Russ. So, Russ, let me ask you one more question. So when you're in the pits and you're not on the track, how are people reacting to the C8 Corvette?
Yeah, it's funny you ask that, because usually, most of the time for tracks and stuff, you're jumping out of your car, checking fluids, tire pressures, and there's a lot going on. Like when you come back in from a session, just to keep the car running. And I never got to do that. Like literally the second I was out of the car, there was either somebody waiting there to talk to me about the car, to check it out. I had a couple guys that are in these the radicals, and those freaking sick cars. Dude comes over, he's like, hey, would it be cool? Could I sit in it real quick? Yeah, go ahead, dude. Check it out. But yeah, I literally probably had 40, 50 people come over, and I was talking all day. I was like, man, I should be calling Rick up and getting a commission, because I don't think I'm selling at least 10 Corvettes today.
I hope you do, baby.
Yeah, right. No, but and then I'm tied in with this group of these a bunch of exotic guys, Lambos, Ferraris, and stuff. And this was when I first got it about 2.5, 3 months ago. We went to this little cruise, and I pulled up in the parking lot, and all these dudes jumped out of their Ferraris, jumped out of their Lamborghinis, and all come checking it out and seeing this stuff. The one guy had a Lamborghini. He sat in the car, he checked it out, and he was sold on it. And he went and bought a freaking orange one here in California. Paid $20 grand over for it, just because he wanted it. He said he likes that more than his Lambo. I'm like, wow, man. It's like I said, it just shows GM and Chevy did an awesome job on this car, and it's really, turn some heads, especially these guys that have all these crazy cars,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the market we're going after. I mean, keeping the core of our Corvette fans, and I think we're really, truly going to broaden the demographic and the marketplace on this car. And I'd forgotten, too, that you actually saw this car at the reveal in Tustin. So you've been you've been geeked up for a while, waiting for yours, man.
Dude, yeah, man. I mean, like between some of the rumors and stuff that were leading up to that, and actually being at the Tustin event, because I'm down here in Orange County, so I rolled up there. I saw the car, I just fell in love, man. I was like, wow. I mean, they just knocked it out of the park, and it's exciting. It's really exciting to see the transition of the type of car that they're making now, the attention to the details, and just to see the response from people. That it's very well received, and it's cool now too, because there's 2,700 of them made. Right. So it's like I have. With this crazy rare car right now, which is just really a base Corvette, at its core, but the fact that it's super limited run, it's new, the mid-engine, it's pretty neat experience right now.
I told you guys Russ was a cool dude. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Looking forward to your comments down below, and look forward to more comments from the first batch of C8 owners coming out of this channel. I want you guys to hear firsthand what people are really thinking about this new car. I hope you all have a fun and a safe Memorial Day weekend, and please remember why we have these freedoms.
Let me tell you a little something about me. When it's Saturday night, I need to blow off some steam. 1, 2, 3, 4.